The Las Vegas Raiders, man.
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
This franchise is not heading in the right direction, man. Now, going into training camp, the biggest storyline is Josh Jacobs. Now, right now, at the time this is being recorded, it is currently July 14th. Now, the 17th is just around the corner, and that's a really, really special day. Now, I don't know if Josh Jacobs ends up not signing that franchise tag, man. Like, I don't know, but I kind of have a little bit of optimism that the Raiders might end up paying him. I just don't see how they can let Josh Jacobs walk out of the building without paying him, but that's a story to keep up with going into training camp for the Las Vegas Raiders, their biggest one. And then they got a position battle at right guard. Now, you got Alex Bars, who was a veteran who started 14 games for them last year, and he wasn't really that good. And he started a couple of games for the Chicago Bears in the past. You also got a 6th-rounder who was a former selection by the Denver Broncos. He started 3 games for Denver in 2021, and then they let him go last season. He had an injury. And then you got Greg Van Roten, who I think has the chance to end up winning this job. He probably would be the person who I would have the most confidence in starting this year, only because like he's played for like hella teams. He's played for the Packers, the Jets, the Bills, and he started a few games for the Bills last season, and he's still pretty solid, although like he's really up there in age a little bit, but I think he's probably a better option. Maybe you end up putting Alex Burns back there again. I don't know, but I kind of would go with Greg Van Roten. And then they also got an undrafted guy named Darren Wagner, who was an undrafted free agent out of Arkansas. Now, at cornerback, I want to see how this position is going to play out behind Nate Hobbs and Duke Shelley. Now, Duke Shelley, I think, was kind of an underrated free agency signing, so I think he's going to be one of these guys who should work out regardless of how this season goes for the Las Vegas Raiders. So if they come in with an entirely new coaching staff next year, I expect Duke Shelley to still be on the roster because he had a good year this year. And I love Nate Hobbs. Nate Hobbs is probably one of the best draft picks that the Las Vegas Raiders have made in the NFL drafts over the last couple of years outside of Max Crosby and Josh Jacobs. Now, what are we going to be looking at outside of those guys? Now, they signed David Long. I don't really like David Long all that much, even though he did put up a couple of big moments for the LA Rams during their Super Bowl run when his jersey number was called on. But I don't really know if you could trust him to be one of your full-time starting cornerbacks on the outside. Now, Amik Robertson, I don't feel like he was that bad last year. I definitely feel like he's those guys who still is a work in progress, but I still think that he's a pretty okay option. Yeah, you probably could do a little bit better, but I kind of want to see how that's going to play out in training camp between Amik Robertson and David Long Jr., who they signed in free agency. Now, the interior defensive line, Jerry Tillery, when they picked them up last season, he came in and he was pretty good. He was pretty good. I ain't gonna lie. Like, as much as I like the joke on the on the Las Vegas Raiders, like, Jerry Tillery, when they picked him up, I thought it was like a mean move, but he ended up actually being pretty good. Like, I thought he was just, one of those guys who they just pick up because he was a former first-round pick, and he ends up still not working out, but he was pretty good for the Raiders this year. You pretty much should pencil him in as a starter, but Bilal Nichols, he was somebody who a lot of Raiders fans were hyping up a lot going in to training camp last year, and everybody was saying, man, like, Bilal Nichols, like, you got to watch out for him, and he didn't really do anything at all last season. Neil Farrell behind him. Now, I do like Byron Young. Now, Byron Young, like, he was going on for Tennessee. This dude is an athletic freak, and I really feel like he was somebody who was a little slept on. I kind of feel like he could have been a late first round, early second round guy, and they got him in the third. And I really feel like he's a guy who could really flash in training camp, especially with the fact that the Las Vegas Raiders offensive line really isn't all that good. And I really think he's somebody who I think has really good pass rush upside. So I want to see what Byron Young is going to do throughout training camp. I feel like some people are kind of sleeping on him. This dude is a really good athlete, and he was one of those players that when you watch Tennessee's defense, that really stood out. And their defense wasn't really all that great, but they had some really good moments when they started going off. And Byron Young had some really good games when this defense actually was playing at a really high level. So go and kind of look back at some Byron Young film, or even just check out some highlights. Just get a little quip to Byron Young and the upside that he kind of has. So I think he's somebody who could kind of end up showing out for the Las Vegas Raiders this year. Now, if this whole Josh Jacobs thing doesn't end up going right, and he ends up, not signing the franchise tag tender, or they don't end up giving him a new contract, then it's going to be really sad. Raiders Nation is going to be really hurt, and then they're going to have to figure out who's going to end up replacing him. Now, I like Zamir White. Now, I don't know how y'all feel about Zamir White, but when Zamir White was playing for Georgia, and I watched a lot of SEC football, he was a tank. And when the Las Vegas Raiders picked him up, the first thing that popped into my head was he's going to be Josh Jacobs' replacement. Even though, I don't think any of us foresaw, this season, playing out how it did, and Josh Jacobs leading the NFL in rushing. But you look at Zamir White, very powerful back, really athletic in my opinion. Zamir White, I feel like could kind of end up taking over this job, because who else do they have over him, really? I mean, Amir Abdullah? Yeah, Amir Abdullah. I don't really know how I feel about him. Brendan Bolden as your RB1 in 2023? I don't know. That seems a little crazy, doesn't it? Brendan Bolden? I don't know. I like Zamir White if Josh Jacobs doesn't play this year. So it's Amir Abdullah, Brandon Bolden. I don't know about that. I like Zamir White. Now, players to watch. Man, I ain't gonna hold you. I'm still hoping that OJ Howard can really get an opportunity to show what he can do as a starting tight end. Now, I know some of y'all may be like, JT, you still hoping on OJ Howard? Yes, I am. I'm hoping that OJ Howard can really get an opportunity, because people forget, it wasn't like OJ Howard couldn't play. OJ Howard just couldn't stay healthy. And y'all in the chat, let me know if I'm tripping, but OJ Howard, his first couple of years in the league, when he was healthy, he was really solid, really good. And he was one of the more athletically gifted tight ends in the league during that period. So I'm kind of interested to see what OJ Howard can do with the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, I know they do got Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame, and he's pretty good. And then they also have Austin Hooper. But it's I really want to see what OJ Howard can do. Now, I thought, when he was with the Buffalo Bills, he might have done a little something, but I don't know. They had Dawson Knox, who was really good. So I didn't really know about him, honestly. So I'm interested in seeing what OJ Howard does. Divine Diablo. Now, this guy has improved a lot. He's gained more weight. He's been given some more responsibilities on the defense. He's athletically gifted linebacker because he was a former safety. So I think he may end up being one of those guys who could end up breaking out this year. Of course, we got to watch Tyree Wilson. He's somebody who has a lot of athleticism, but he wasn't the most polished, and he kind of was a risky pick for the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't know why I want to call y'all the LA Raiders, but he was a risky pick for y'all, so I don't really know if he's going to end up panning out, but we'll see. But this is it for my Las Vegas Raiders training camp preview. Let me know some things that I missed down in the comment section down below. Let me know some things that you guys are going to be watching, some position battles that you're going to be looking out for.